Hello again, I'm Doug Smith. This is the 30 May edition of Portsmouth This Week, the Voice of Portsmouth Town Hall. My guest this morning is Jim Seveney, the president of the Portsmouth Town Council. And Jim's is here to talk to us a little bit about that $100,000 grant that we just got from the state. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I know a couple of weeks ago, a great photo op up there in Providence with the governor and some other political people. You received a $100,000 state open space land recreation grant.
Right.
And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that and how we plan to use it.
Sure. Well, the state level referendum passed a recreation open space bond. I don't remember how much that was for in 2012, and the funding for this series of grants that were allowed came from that. It was a competitive process. In our area, our particular area, they had several categories of grants. Ours was historic preservation and open space. And I think there were approximately 25 communities. There were a lot more that applied, but 25 communities applied and were awarded something. In our case, $100,000 was the maximum award for the category. So I would like to just take a moment to thank John Klimm, Gary Crosby, the planner, Dave Kiyu, our Public Works Director, and also Tina Dolan from the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission. They teamed up together to actually write the grant application, and obviously they did very well. And now the town has $100,000. There's a matching portion that goes with that. That will probably come in kind with public works activity, and what we proposed to do was install walking paths down in the old Elmhurst area where we've just cleared the building, and we're turning that into a public park for our citizens. There'll be some plantings and all that, so it gets us started.
That's a beautiful piece of property down there. If people haven't gone down there and taken a look after the demolition of the school,
right.
It's a really beautiful spot, so I think it'd be a great place for a public park.
It really is, and it looks really different. With the old school building gone, it opens the place up. You can see the water. The tree line is very nice. The manor house looks good sitting there, to the south. It's going to be a very nice place for people to go and have picnics and just relax. Relax
on the river. Seveney River is a beautiful spot.
Absolutely.
Who's going to be doing in the town the detailed planning of what this is going to look like?
Much of the detailed planning was already done. VHB, one of the architect firms that are on contract with us, did the original planning. Those plans were various plans were presented at several town council meetings. We don't really have the money to execute all of those plans just yet, because obviously there's going to be some expense with the plantings and some of the stuff. But the major stuff that they architected has already been done, and that's pretty much making sure that the land forming is nice, it's stable. Because remember, when we took out that building, there were basements and foundations and all that had to get removed. A lot of infrastructure. So they were very careful with the deconstruction of that building. Venegro Corporation was the contractor. They won the bid to demolish the building. They did an outstanding job, and it looks really good. So all the fundamental stuff is in place now. It looks good. All the land has been shaped nicely, and it'll be a nice park when it's done.
Okay, so you've already had some public discussion then
absolutely.
Of this. Okay. The other thing I noticed in the at least in the application, which I assume is what got you the grant, is the addition of a 40-car parking lot.
Right. And parking
can be tough down there.
Yeah. It is. Right now, there's one existing small parking lot up the hill. It's a tough place to get down to the park from because it's a fairly steep slope there. So for folks with a handicap or elderly folks or whatnot, accessibility
It would
is an
be guys
issue.
like me walking back up the hill
Hey,
is
me
the hard
too.
part.
Me too. My wife taught school there for 10 years, and I used to help her with her books and stuff. Climbing up to that parking lot was no easy trick.
Yeah.
But we want to make some decent parking so it's accessible to as many folks as we can make it, and just do as much as we can. It's going to take some time to turn that into a decent place. This is all taxpayers' land, and we want the taxpayers to be able to have access to it and enjoy it. It was overwhelmingly decided throughout the various hearings that a park was the best thing to do with this, and there was a protracted series of committees and hearings on that.
Now, with the extra parking, I can think that would be a benefit to Glen Manor House operation, perhaps. But do you also think this is a complement? This will complement Glen Manor House, or do you think there's a conflict between, having a private wedding and then next door having a public park?
Well, there's some things that have to be done. There'll probably be some plantings
to kind of separate the areas.
To separate the areas. We want to save a little bit of the area for the Glen Manor House to operate larger venues where you use a tent and things like that. We are making a concerted effort to expand the business base of the Glen Manor House operation.
Sure.
But we will have to do something to ensure that Glen Manor House operations can continue unfettered while we've got free and open access to a public
I hadn't thought
park.
about a tent operation, but that would obviously allow them to expand the kind of offerings they have.
Yeah, some of the business opportunities that they have to pass up are related to they don't have any one single room that's large enough for some of the venues that people are looking for. So we'll try to fix that with a tent.
Yeah, that'd be great. How will this park be maintained? I assume by DPW
Yes.
along with all the other public properties we have.
Yeah.
That's the downside of a lot of open space that requires.
Well,
maintenance.
as you'll hear from John and Jim later, we have put into the budget 2 additional positions.
Okay.
They're not additional positions. We're filling very old vacancies to try to get Dave Keogh's team back up, not to full strength, but at least better than where he's been.
Yeah.
Dave
and his guys do a fantastic job,
They
I
do.
think, for what
They do.
all the resources they have
with a shorthanded crew, yeah.
with a shorthanded crew.
But yeah, they'll be responsible for taking care of the park.
Now, when will we see work begin on this project?
Well, they've already planted grass, so making sure that that the initial land forming and all of that stuff that comes right after removal of the building, once that's settled and there's some grass there and all that, then we'll get into the walking paths, the parking lots, and the plantings. But this is going to be over a period of time. We don't have the money to get a full-up park
Right away.
all installed right away.
Okay, but people can still drive down there and kind of see what it looks like. And
Absolutely.
are there any plans to kind of upgrade or something that pier area? That looks like it.
There's no specific plans. The pier needs to be upgraded. One of the business opportunities could be sponsoring stops from some of the various local sailing charter ventures, where they would stop, use the pier, maybe have a clam bake or something at the base of the pier or down on the lower lawns by the river. And all that, we're going to build that up slowly as we expand the business basis for the Manor House operation.
So the future looks like there's a lot of possibilities down there. That's great.
I think so.
Well, I'd like to thank you and the council for pursuing this grant, number one, and John Klimm, as you say. Gary Crosby, I'm sure, helped write a big part of it. I think this is a great opportunity for the community to move forward on things that we all value.
I do too. I mean, it's public property. The citizens bought it, and so we'll do our best to make it something nice that they can get some use from.
Okay, Jim. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Okay, welcome back. I've got two new guests for the second part of the program today, Town Administrator Jahn Klimm and Portsmouth Human Resource and Finance Director Jim Lathrop. Welcome, gentlemen, back to the program. I'd like to discuss a little bit about the budget, which I think you all are right in the middle of the whole process, and some of the key issues. I guess the first thing is, where are we in this process?
Well, as you know, Doug, the budgetary process begins right after Labor Day with work that takes place in Town Hall with department heads and managers putting together initial plans. We've gone through that whole process. We submitted the budget at the beginning of April, and the Town Council has held a series of workshops, and they've made some changes to the original proposal or whatever, and we're headed towards a public hearing on June 10th, and that will be yet another opportunity for our residents and taxpayers to give input. That's the whole purpose of the hearing, so that the council can gauge support or concerns on the part of residents before a final vote is taken around the third week of June.
Okay, so public hearing on the 10th of June?
On the 10th of June.
And then when is the budget finalized again?
I think it's the 23rd of June. It's the third week of June.
Okay, which is right before the fiscal year starts, I guess.
Right.
So it's pretty right down to the wire, just about. What are some of the key issues remaining here? I know that there's been back and forth.
I think this year, through the workshops, all the issues really have been addressed. The real discussions is about next year and moving forward. We've been pretty clear that this is a solution for fiscal year 15, but the town long-term is going to have some issues that they're going to have to make tough decisions on. And that's what this budget has done, is kind of set them up so that they can start making those decisions to impact the future.
Yeah, and it's not just Portsmouth, it's every town, I'm sure,
Yes.
that's going through this right now. Just from my own perspective, for some reason this budget cycle so far has seemed fairly civil and a lot less contentious than normal. Have you sensed that, John? You've been here through.
I think that's primarily because of something Jim just said, and that is that we're really focused on a one-year approach, recognizing that the real work begins at the beginning of the next fiscal year, where we talk about some of the long-term challenges that we face. We know that we still have a pension issue that needs to be addressed. We know that we have some major financial issues that need to be solved. And I think that both the Town Council and the School Committee understand that the approach this year is to get us through fiscal year 15, but that we have to roll up our sleeves and really address what will be a long-term deficit situation if we don't implement some meaningful reforms over the next year.
Okay, but you think essentially, Jim, we're in relatively good shape for this year so far?
Yes.
Now, one of the issues that has been discussed in the press and other places is the Melville campground.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what is the issue and what are the plans? What you guys recommend?
To understand where we are, we need to understand the history of that operation. It was a parcel of land that was given to the town for recreational purposes, and there was an analysis and an evaluation done, and it was deemed that the best use at the time for that site would be a public campground, so that the revenues, the profits made from that operation could be used for recreational opportunities for our youngsters. And over the years, money has come back to the town for those purposes. It is becoming clear, though, if you look at what has happened over the last 3 or 4 years, that the amount of revenue that the town is generating is precipitously dropping to a point where we were actually looked at a deficit situation over the past year. It's very clear that we need to reassess that, and that is what the council has decided through their leadership. They unanimously voted last week to put the operation out to bid, to allow private sector entities and individuals an opportunity to use their ingenuity and creativity to try to figure out how to make more revenue for the town. And so that's where we are, and I think over the next year, a major decision will be made about the future of that site. But the upside of it is that I think that we will see some really creative proposals that will bring more revenue to the town.
Have we seen any interest in making proposals from different entities?
We've kind of reached out to some entities just to let them know what's going on,
Yeah.
and that we'd be proposing an RFP at some time in the future. My experience in some of my other communities, I've done similar type of things, so there is interest. It's just timing, how...
Sure.
The Glen Manor is really kind of the model of a kind of a private entity, a public facility run privately, where a considerable amount of funds have been brought back to the town. But the fact is that this really goes into a much larger financial picture for the town, and that is, if it's true what we continually hear, which is that our schools, our police and fire, and our public works operations are really the core of our mission, that we need to explore or reevaluate the other activities, because we can't keep subsidizing every program, and we want to make more money available for our core mission. You know, you've been down to the police station, you've seen the condition of the building, you know that the school will be facing many challenges over the next 2 or 3 years. Our fire department has challenges. Dave Keogh has done a terrific job with all the folks at Public Works, but we know that there are many needs there as well. So this is all part of an overall picture. And so when you look at our beach operation, our moorings, our ball fields, and our campground, we can't keep publicly subsidizing these activities if we want to have more money to go to our core mission.
You know, one of the things it sounds like that would help would be a recreation manager of some kind. I know we've discussed that before as a possibility, but it seems to me that that would be come up with a way to pay for that position out of some kind of new revenue stream from things like that.
I think there's a greater recognition that as we move forward over the next 3 to 5 years, that is a position that makes a tremendous amount of sense. And I think that for many that have looked at it, there is a belief that person could actually pay for itself in terms of generating additional revenues.
You know, and just Millville Campground, it's a beautiful little facility.
Yeah.
It's on Aquidneck Island, so it's close to all the tourist things.
Sure.
There are a lot of real positives that you'd think that thing would really be a moneymaker for us if we can find the right people to run it, perhaps. Well, that's great. That's just another way of looking at additional revenue. Another issue that we've discussed before on this program, John, was the issue of police pensions. Has there been any movement or any kind of possibility of change in that situation?
Well, I don't want to just focus on our police department because...
It's probably the pensions in general, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was over a year ago now that we had a hardworking volunteer citizen commission recommend to the council major changes to the pension. The sad reality is that for many, many years we were giving additional benefits to employees without identifying the revenues to cover those costs. We woke up last June 30th with a report that said that we needed $1.6 million more in next year's budget to cover just the existing contractual obligations. And obviously, the council looked at that and said that we're just not going to be able to continue to fund the very generous pension proposals that have been granted in the past. And they charged us with sitting down with our employees, trying to work with them for meaningful reform. And I have to say, most of our employees not only understand, but we're willing to be part of the solution on a long-term basis. Our employees in our town hall, our public works employees, our firefighters, the Council 94 employees, our custodial non-certified staff over at the school department. Most of our employees have come to understand that we need to solve this problem. We were not successful initially with our police department. We will be opening up negotiations again. But without a solution, we're going to need $600,000 more each and every year to cover the pension costs for the police department, and that simply is unsustainable. And I hope that there is a willingness, and I believe that there will be, to sit down to try to come up to fashion some type of solution to get this past us, because we're literally bleeding financially and we need to solve the problem.
Now, Jim, I'm sure you ran into the same kind of problem in the other towns that you've managed the finances for. Is there any realistic, in your view, prospect for some progress on this? This is an annual thing. It's going to keep going until we fix it.
I think there is some options for us and some prospects. As I said, many of the employees have worked with the town, and I think the police will work, maybe not to the extent that we always want, but meeting the people. They like the town too. I think they're part of this community, so they know that there's a problem. So I think eventually there will be a solution.
Okay, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, because that's big money that we don't have.
Problem.
One of the things that's just kind of near and dear to my heart is the wind turbine, and I think the status and the future of the wind turbine is of great interest to everybody in Portsmouth. Every time you drive by and it's sitting there, you say, oh, geez, where's the, we're losing money. I guess the question, when we hear more about what the plans are for the wind turbine?
Well, the council has called a workshop on the 3rd of June, with the only agenda item being this wind turbine. And I share the frustration and really the sadness on the part of a lot of our citizens who have supported the wind turbine in the past, hoping for a quick solution. And believe me, if it were not such a complex issue, this problem would have been solved many, many months ago. But we have really pulled together the best and the brightest nationally, to both from a technical standpoint and a financial standpoint. And the town council on the 3rd of June will have presented to them 2 options. One is to decommission the turbine and take it down, and one to fix it. And we will have all of the technical and financial backup to present to the council, and I suspect that a decision will be made at that time. So hopefully this issue will be put behind us so that we can work on other issues as well.
It's unfortunate, but several of us will be away working on an academic project over in Portsmouth, UK next week. But personally speaking, I'd like to see that wind turbine back up and generating both power and money for the town, which is capable of over time. Because the bottom line of everything is there's still a note on that's got to be paid. And it'll be much easier to pay it if you have a revenue stream to help you pay it off. So good luck with that. I'll watch very carefully. I hope you email us, John, over there so we can have a pint.
It might be the middle of the night when you get the text, but we will do that.
Okay, that'd be great. And one of the things we'd like to do, perhaps when we come back, is at some point do a program on this show about the wind turbine, the details perhaps of all the analysis and everything else, and by that time we'll know where we're going.
I think our citizens will come away from that program with a better understanding of the complexity, especially the technical complexity of this issue, but also that we have really reached out, and that's what's taken so long. We've taken the time to reach out, to literally communicate and work with the best and the brightest nationally in this industry to come up with some solutions.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that was necessary. This whole thing was a unique installation, specific issues that you needed somebody nationally known to come in and help out of that. Is there anything else you want to talk to us about the budget?
Well, just as you have suggested, there are many opportunities, and there's still several remaining for our citizens to give us input. And the budget package has been on the website, continues to be there. They can email us, call us, write to us. We need to know what their concerns are, and we want to make sure that our priorities are our citizens' priorities, because that's what really matters. So we hope that as many citizens as possible will take that opportunity to reach out to us and let us know.
Okay, so there's still time for people to participate then? And
There's still over a month before a final vote is taken, and we hope to
okay,
hear
and I
from...
guess they go on the town website. You guys
Yes.
have just about everything on that now. So.
Yeah, all of the financial documentation is there, and the ability to email or contact us, and so we hope that they take that opportunity.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the other thing is, we're, in my office, already starting thinking about next year's budget, and if people have information that they'd like to see in next year's budget, a particular data, we would appreciate hearing from them. So, like, we want to see energy costs more detailed or something like that, because that's the idea, is to make it as transparent to everybody as possible.
Yeah. Jim, let me ask you, you've done this before, been there, done that in other places, and now you've been in Portsmouth for, what, 6 months? Something like that?
Coming up 4 months.
Okay, 4 months. God, time flies, I guess. I thought it was 6. But how would you say we compare? I mean, are we going through, are we a typical New England community? Or?
I don't think you are. I think you're very proactive. A lot of communities don't have that long-term vision that Portsmouth seems to want to take. And you really do seem to want to figure out a solution. You don't want to just win. You want to do what's best for the town, which is part of the reason that brought me here.
Yeah. What a concept, We want to do something that's good for the town. It doesn't make any difference who wins.
Yes.
I wish the rest of the country would think like that. But so as far as you're concerned, there's still hope for us. How is this process going from your perspective?
I think it's pretty good. It's been a learning curve for me. I came in a little late, but from Jahn to the council to the departments, I really think people care, and they act like a team, which is nice for me, being new and getting things done.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. Because one of the things we tried to do last year was bring everybody together to all agree on something, like we're 375 years old, let's celebrate. Yeah. And it seemed to help. I know there are a lot of opportunities for volunteering. I know, John, you're constantly on your website have lists of town committees that need members. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I think it's a great opportunity for people to get involved in their town. They can work in an area that they like. A good example would be the Historical Society. Sure. Those people do fascinating stuff. But it's also the library, the Garden Club, which does all this beautiful work and never gets much credit for it. So I like to try to give them as much credit as I can. But we want to continue to kind of make this the kind of community I think we'd all like to live in. Well, listen, let me thank both of you guys, Jim Lathrop, Jahn Klimm, for coming in this morning. And our next report will probably be something that we pull together perhaps from jolly old England. Several of us are going over to Portsmouth, UK next week, and I'll give you a full report when I get back. Thanks very much. Doug Smith signing off.
Sandy Woods Farm is an arts and agricultural community in Tiverton, Rhode Island. There's a lot going on at Sandy Woods. We have art, music, sustainable agriculture, community gardening, classes and workshops. Please check us out on the web and come see us at any time. If you have any questions or would like to volunteer, you can call 401-241-7349.